Good evening, I'm Zannah Doan. I'm regional producer at Pavilion Dance Southwest. I was just thinking, they say if you're going to meet somebody you're a bit scared of, always think of them on the loo because it makes you realise that they're just a person as well. And part of the brief tonight was to talk about my career. And actually it's a really good way of making us realise that we're all just on a journey and we all started, pretty similar places really. And in 2010, I facilitated a week at Dartington for young, talented dancers from across the Southwest. And we asked all of these so-called experts to come and talk about their career as a way of introducing themselves. And I found out things about people I'd known for 10 years. I had no idea that that's what they did when they were 18, or that's what they did when they were 25. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what the other people have got to say. I'm going to give you a very honest take on what I do, what I think about what we do. And I just say through it all, remember that I love very much what I do and I feel very privileged to be doing it. So where did I start? Well, I started off doing a BA Honours degree in Performing Arts. My parents didn't seem to mind too much, actually, I was kind of lucky. I didn't have a barrier there. I did dance and drama and arts administration, and so I choreographed, I danced, I directed, I acted, I put on professional programmes. So a Dutch dance company came called Dance Product T, and they were one of the first companies that I promoted to an audience. And I promoted Fort Beard Fantasy, who are actually based in Somerset. So I got some really good grounding in both what it's like to be a performer, but also how you can make the dreams of the performer into reality, a pragmatic reality in terms of all the management side of things as well. But then I came out of my degree with a first-class degree, which I was immensely proud of. But I came out in a recession and I couldn't find a job. And I would say that there are three things if you choose to do a performing arts degree and you come out in a recession and you can't find a job, but you're really sure you still want to work in what you just did your training in. One of them is try and find jobs which give you extra skills in the areas you might need. So for me, I went into Waterstones just because I love books. But I also did some promotions and events work while I was there. And in my degree, I'd always been criticised for being an idealist. Something I embrace being an idealist. I encourage all of you to be idealists. The world would be a sadder place without them. So I wish I knew that then, because I'd have been able to retort to my lecturer who said that, I am proud of that. But I realised that marketing was something I found. I had a bit of a problem with marketing. It seemed to be, why would you have to market the arts? So I actually consciously went to work for a wine company for a year in their direct marketing in the head office, and I marketed for a year. Got a grounding in that. I set up Swallow Arts in my spare time. I promoted above a pub, and I got a few grants, and I earned income from box office, and that enabled me to pay the professional performers who came. And Swallow Arts was everything about the voice, so performance poetry, cabaret, music, and that stood me in good stead. And I volunteered. I was on the board of a literature festival and an arts council, promoting arts events, campaigning for the arts, and in the end, I got a job. The first job I got was with Spare Tire Theatre Company, which was based in King's Cross in London. It was a campaigning feminist company who at that time were doing a lot of work around Fat is a Feminist Issue, which is a book by Susie Warbeck. And one of the reasons they gave me an interview is because I handwrote my application in pink ink, and that helped me get an interview. And they were fantastic. And a little while later, I finally got into what I'd realised I really wanted to do, which was actually a broad range of arts development work, so I could actually work across different art forms. And this is a picture of me at Rosebriars Trust, which was in Elmbridge, just on the outskirts of London. And in this particular programme, we invited members of the public to come and learn about public art and how you commission public art and why would you commission public art and where do you put it. And they visited studios, artist studios, and it remains to this day. It's a very small programme, and that's the little booklet that Rufus produced of it, but it remains one of my proudest projects. It was very people-centred, and that's what all of my work is about. 10 years after I completed my degree, my first degree, I decided to do a part-time master's, and I did a one-day release paid for by my employer at Warwick University. Kind of overcoming the fact I'd gone to Leicester Poly and felt I'd been at Poly and now I needed to get a university degree, but also enabling me to look at the international context of the arts and understand a bit more about how the arts operate in Germany, Sweden, France. After that, I got a few more jobs. So I worked at Devon Arts in Schools Initiative. That's what brought me down to the southwest from London in 1998. And this is a copy of a letter from the Chief Executive of Devon County Council, because I organised the dance and drama produced by young people in the Exeter Cathedral when the Queen came on her visit in 2002. And we had young dancers just like you performing in the cathedral, and the Queen and Prince Philip trogged up and watched the performances. And again, something I'm really, really proud of, but the weird thing is when you've done loads of things, you forget what you've done. And it's really nice to find these letters and go, oh yeah, gosh, that was amazing. I then became a freelancer, and I did all sorts of things, from project management, actually making events happen, to a lot of evaluation work, a lot drier, but actually really interesting work. And then I had my two babies, Charlie and Maya, and this is a picture of them on Neon Day 2 weeks ago. And that led to a little pause in my career. And then in 2012, I joined Pavilion Dance Southwest. So we are a national dance house, a 200-seat theatre and 2 large dance studios based in Bournemouth, but with the regional remit to support dance development across the southwest region. And the dance is quite a small world, and so I know, I consider as colleagues, all the people speaking here tonight, we're all part of and contribute to the dance sector in the southwest. What is a regional producer? What is a producer? I think that when I started off in my career, I was an administrator. I then became a director. I was a manager. I'm now a producer. And when I started at Pavilion Dance Southwest, I read a book. There's a large book called What is a Producer? And it's got some of the top producers in the country. As always, it's very London-centric. So there's lots of people who've produced for large companies in London, talking about how do they see their role. And actually, do you know, there isn't one way. I think one of the things I like most about being called a producer is that imaginator part of it, the creative part of it, where you can come up with an idea, where you can realise that you're talking to a few different people and they've got this brilliant idea. How can you help make them realise it? Or how can you make the idea you've just got, how can you make that happen? And that inevitably involves fundraising, coordinating the partnerships to get it happening, managing the whole work that happens, including the financial aspects, curating the work to make sure it's set in the best place possible, that all the technical requirements are there, and yes, still administrating, actually doing some of the fundamental pragmatic work you have to have in order to put on an arts event. So at Pavilion Dance Southwest we have 5 priorities: bounce, breathe, grow, shift and share. Bounce is our children and young people priority. Breathe, health and well-being. Grow is professional development. Shift is about moving product, so performances like we saw tonight, actually moving them from space to space, enabling them to be seen. And share is about nurturing the audience, so there is an audience to go and see this work, and connecting audience with products. So dancers are thinking about the audience when they produce when they create the work they're creating at that moment. So these are the themes that underpin the work I do. So there's a list there of things I do. If you were to watch me day to day, I spend a lot of time in the car or on a train, travelling across the region. I spend quite a lot of time in cafes, or my latest one is sitting in hotel bars, talking to people, with a cup of coffee, not with a glass of wine. So a lot of time talking and listening, because ultimately, working and what we do is about people, and it's about listening to people's ideas, it's about listening to people's thoughts, it's about finding possibilities. So a lot of time talking, and then if you were to watch me today, from 9 till 4, I was sat non-stop at a computer in a quiet room on my own. So kind of, if you were to look at me from the outside, that's my role. I do welcome the computer bit after I've been talking all day, so that's a nice kind of balance. The southwest region's really big. It's from the Isles of Scilly to Gloucester, which is the top of it, is as big a distance as from there to the top to Scotland. So we have challenges in our region about how do you connect dance? How can people within the dance sector feel that they are part of a nurturing sector? How can we support young graduates when they come out? How can we support experienced dancers when they still want to create dance and they're wondering what next for them? How do you create venues to actually program dance? So we've got some geographic issues there, and it's a large region that we're working across. So who do I work with? Who is the dance sector? Well, we in the Southwest have a network of dance organisations. Nearly every local authority in the Southwest has a dance organisation covering it, and at last count the only place that didn't was North Somerset, which is the sort of Western-super-Mare area. But a lot of sort of Bristol can sometimes cover that, and sometimes I know Katie at Take Art has done some work there. They're fantastic, they're passionate, and they really try to... somebody was saying yesterday, one of the characteristics of the dance sector in the Southwest is a generosity of spirit, and everybody's very generous to try and help make work and make great dance happen. Independent dancers and companies are at the core of what happens, and dance practitioners too. In the Southwest, we've got a lot of people who what we would call dance practitioners, so they're working in education, working in health settings, and all sorts of other settings, using their dance backgrounds to connect with and support other people in really creative ways. Venues like Tacchi-Morris or like Octagon and Yeovil, and other sectors like we have Michelle here and Lois here from Falmouth and Bath Spa. So increasingly we're trying to work out how can we work with those that offer degrees, how can we make the links between industry and degrees so that young people come out with realistic expectations, but also with some networks in place. They know some people to go and get jobs with. 3 things I'm working on at the moment. Libraries. So this summer I worked with regional libraries in 13 out of 15 library authorities across the Southwest, and we commissioned second-hand dance to produce a promenade piece where you have to walk around the library. And it was on the theme of Creepy House, because Summer Reading Challenge encourages 4 to 11s to read. And Creepy House dance, it had all sorts of references to books in it and to creepy house things. So the libraries brought in 4 to 11-year-olds to try and encourage them to read their 6 books through the summer and get their certificate at the end. And libraries had never done this before. We had we had exactly 979 children and adults come to see it, so that's fab. But what was particularly brilliant for me in terms of my contribution is half of the children who came had never seen a dance performance before. So for me, fantastic. We're reaching a whole new range of children out there. So I'm now working on trying to do some work in 2014 and 15 with regional libraries, but now integrating more digital arts, and we're looking at augmented reality and 3D environments, like a games-like environment, to link into it. So it's all really exciting stuff. We got a Nesta award, a digital R&D award, so we got quite a large amount of money for 1 year to create a dance game app. It's just gone on to Apple, but it's at really early stages. It'll be on Android by Christmas, and you can record yourselves for 15 seconds in a space. You tag that location, so if you were going to record at Tacchi-Morris Centre, you've tagged that location, and you can just choose to share it with your friends and watch your other friends' videos in their different locations they've done around Taunton or London or Bristol or Falmouth, wherever it is you've done it. Or you can choose to compete, and on the app you'll get 2 videos of people in similar places, like a park in Falmouth and a park in Taunton, and the viewer will rate which one they prefer, and the winner will take over the other space and they'll get points for doing it. So there's a leaderboard, and this has been taking us into a whole new area of working with games developers, and the University of the West of England are researching it. The games developer is Mobile Pi. So you can see you can find yourself doing stuff you never, totally out of your comfort zone and taking you to a whole different direction. And this is all about enabling people to dance and to connect through dance. On one hand, it's pure entertainment. On the other hand, there are uses for the dance industry too. We've got 5.3 million people in the southwest, and a fifth of them are over 65. And in the next 10 to 20 years, that's going to grow to about a quarter. There's a whole agenda about helping active older people stay active and fit. There's also agendas about preventing isolation if an old person lives on their own and they never see anybody, or if they're falling all the time, trying to help their balance and their mobility. And of course dance has got fabulous offers for that. So we're looking at 2 particular schemes. One is taking dance into care homes, and we're looking at an intergenerational aspect, so young people creating dance and work being done in care homes and sharing it to create a sense of community around the care home. And the other thing is dance companions, which is volunteers who will take an older person to a performance or a workshop. So those are 3 of the things that I'm working on that excite me at the moment, that I'm spending a lot of my time on. My tips for you would be pick the course that feels right for you holistically, and I mean you as a whole person, not you just you as a dancer, but you as all the areas that you need. If you need intellectual stimulation, make sure you choose a course which has the right kind of academic balance. If you don't like the academic side of it, choose a course that doesn't have that. I think it's really important that it's really right for you as a person. There's a lot more apprenticeships and internships coming on at the moment. I had a 30-week placement last year, and Joanne got involved in all sorts of things at Pavilion Dance that she would never have done before. She herself says she would never have done before, and her confidence across the year, her confidence growth was incredible. But there are formal apprenticeships that you can do, where you can come out with a formal apprenticeship, which could be useful. Lots of volunteering opportunities. The government agenda is to increase volunteering. For you, of course, that might be a means to an end. It's probably not great to not be paid, but perhaps it will help you get that job you're looking for. And the last thing is keep doing what you do. If you create, carry on creating. If you have to work at a pub to earn some money, don't stop creating. Keep on creating. Keep that side of you going. So there's a whole range of jobs in dance. I've gone towards the administrative producer end. Most young people probably want to be a dancer or a choreographer, and if that's your dream, pursue your dream, but know that a small percentage probably will find full-time employment in that, or that would be their main source of income. So think about the other ways you could use your dance if it turns out that it's hard for you to be a dancer or a choreographer. I kind of put a little balance thing here, and the negatives are, they're just a fact. You don't go into this to be rich. If money is important to you, then do take a different path and keep your dance going as your pleasure, as your hobby, as your special thing. It's personal to you. I think it's vocational. Personally, I think that if it's in you, if it's something you have to do, then you pursue it. And I've been working non-stop for 25 years, so if anyone's mum and dad are worried about you working, when you come out, you can come out and you can work non-stop in doing what you love doing. So that's me, and that's kind of a little flavour about what I do. That's my email address. I'm really happy if anybody wanted to connect with me in any way. If you want to email, I'm more than happy to respond to emails. I'll be going at the end of the speeches. I won't be around, I'm afraid, later, but do email me if anything, kind of, you've got questions or anything. And thank you very much, Louise and Jenny, for organising this.